welcome to Film Music House Summer Edition, because songwriting is what? Fundamental. I'm here, first of all, I should introduce myself. I'm Curtis Moore, and along with Tom Miser, I write the songs for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And I am so happy to be here, thank you, celebrating these two amazing people, Leland and Freddy Scott. They are unbelievably fantastic songwriters behind RuPaul's Drag Race. And I told them before we started, I'm just geeking out because I'm such big fans of their work on this show. In particular, their most recent song that came out, which is called Lucky, which is just the hookiest song that I've ever heard. And such a great presentation. You guys, thank you so much for doing this. It's just such a treat for me to have you both on here.
Thank you so much for the compliments. Your check is in the mail.
Yeah. Great, thank you. So I just wanted to ask, first of all, how did you guys first meet to start writing together?
We were introduced socially through our friend Lucian, who worked on RuPaul's Drag Race for many, many years, a very talented composer. And Lucian just surrounded himself, not to pat ourselves on the back, but just with really funny, beautiful, handsome tall. I
would not be invited.
Oh my God, no, but I moved to LA and I met Lucian, and he just had this magnetic energy, and I loved how creative and kooky and fun he was. And so Freddie and I met through Lucian, and then there was a time when I started working on the show bit by bit. And then I remember thinking, I met this like freak named Freddie at some point, and I should really give him a call. And I just remember Freddie being very able to adapt musically, and also having like a comedic backbone, so, and that truly, as I was developing the skills, and still am developing the skills for what this show calls for, I knew Freddie had the skill set for that. So we started working on it. I think I did maybe a season or two, just like working with Lucian, and then Freddie and I started working together, and our first one was Kardashian the Rusical,
which is fantastic.
Oh my God, thank you. Yeah, Lucian was really the glue between us. I think we met going to Drag Race watch parties at Lucian's place, which is hilarious. And then I remember when Leland called me, I was at the gym because I'm very in shape.
You look
very
amazing.
Looking.
Yeah.
Thank you so. Oh my God, you noticed?
Yeah, you look amazing.
And he called me and said, "Hey, would you like to try our version of writing for the show?" And I was like, "Absolutely, yes." And Leland is hilarious in his own right as well, and we work really well together. We laugh and laugh and laugh, and then we eventually get to work. But it was so fun to first do that, and such a cool little tight knit community that we already had. So we kind of like already knew each other's work and stuff, and it just ended up working out really well.
Right. Well, I mean, one of the things that's so great, you brought up obviously Drag Race, which is, you guys have a lot of stuff you do outside of Drag Race, but when you guys came to work on Drag Race, one of the things that I find so amazing that you do is you really have a way of highlighting each of the contestants' talents and skills, or helping to hide the lack thereof sometimes with those contestants. And it just feels, it has such a warmth of acceptance and energy. And I'm just curious, like, how does that, when you were putting together those songs together, what do you do to sort of bring up that sort of inner diva in your songwriting?
I mean, you really have to, I would say the magic of it comes with when we're recording sometimes on camera with the queens, or off camera, is if we're on camera, no matter what, we have a very limited window of time with each queen, and so in those minutes that we get to record them, where they bring in their verses and we work with them on tweaking a few words here and there or whatever, we have a very limited amount of time to give them a performance that they will then go and be confident in performing when they are in drag later. And so it's quickly adapting and getting as many options, whether it's, okay, cool, you brought in a singing verse, but you're not the strongest singer, and you're not selling it. So let's try rapping it, or let's try speaking it, or let's try something kooky, or let's just try you screaming and making noises. Our number one job description is to make the queens look good and to give them something confident. And their number one job description is to make Ru laugh. So if all those things happen, then we have all collectively done our job.
Yeah, and I think the greatest thing, is the approach that we use, the approach that we are guided into using for the show. I mean, from the get-go, it hasn't ever been like, if you can't sing, you can't shine on this song. So everyone really has their place and really makes their mold with what we do with them. Like Leland was saying, if someone can't sing, then they rap, then they scream, then they say gibberish, whatever it is. Everyone has their strength that they bring to the song, and we just orchestrate that to make it the strongest thing they can deliver. If it's a vocal that isn't traditionally sung well or something else, then we'll switch it to something else, use some production tricks and whatever else, and everyone ends up really shining. Sometimes the ones that maybe on camera or off camera you don't think are going to be the strongest verses end up being the strongest, most memorable things we ever do for the show.
Yeah, that's definitely apparent when you watch the show. Sometimes people that you're like, well, that person's a great singer, but then it's the person that you were worried was going to be able to pull it off. You guys somehow magically just bring that energy and sort of like performance quality to them. I mean, it's a real gift that they have to have you guys have their back basically in this production. It's incredible to watch.
I think one of the greatest things about working with Leland too, and the way we work together, is that I think the queens aren't intimidated when they finally get to us. We try to give them as much confidence as they can in what they do, rather than molding them to something we want them to do. And once that, it usually, if you watch the show on camera, when we do that, it takes a couple times, and then eventually magic just explodes, because they find their confidence, they find their voice, and then they find whatever their unique formula is to add to that song, and that's when it really shines.
And sometimes they do fall flat, and that is part of the competition. You know, we're not, I do have to remind myself sometimes that we're not, the goal isn't every time to get a song worthy to be played on the radio. You know, as far as when it comes to the chorus and the hook and all of those things, of course we want the highest quality, but it is a competition and they are being judged. And so we can't auto-tune to make them be within the key if they're not. You know, but we can give them other tools and options to try out within that amount of time.
Right. So in a way, you're basically opening your collaboration from between the two of you to, well, first the two of you, then it's obviously the production team of the show and RuPaul, but then you also have to include the contestants into your world of creating these works. I mean, it's, yeah, I mean, that's what I think is very different from the way things go. At least like in my world, when I'm writing, that's just not, you know, it ends, the buck stops there after the, you know, in your case, you take it one step further. So do you come in with these songs sometimes like having written maybe the hook, or so you prep sort of what the general scope is, and a lot of times you also have RuPaul singing on those. So is that all done before or after? How is like a normal process for you guys work with this collaboration?
Yeah, it's all done before. And, you know, the concepts and the song titles and sometimes even some of the lyrics or inspiration all start with Ru and Tom Campbell and the team at World of Wonder, because, you know, a lot of these songs are simply just phrases that Ru has coined over the years, or a theme for the season or something like that. But it always starts there. That's where we get our direction, and our inspiration is from Ru and Tom and that team. And then we build out a chorus, we build out the track, and when the queens get their iPods and they're listening to the song for the first time on camera, it is one of us or both of us giving them some gibberish melodies for the verses. We give them options. So each verse it's usually like a couple melodic options and then a couple rhythmic spoken options, and they can choose to gravitate towards one of those options as a guide. Some of them use it as inspiration, some of them do completely their own thing, and there really is no wrong answer. It's just whatever you feel confident and comfortable in. But then they'll hear a demo of the chorus. You know, usually the production isn't finished because the turnaround is so quickly, but we just give them something to hopefully get excited about.
Yeah, and a testament to them really, and to the collaborative energy of the show, is that they get the song maybe 24 hours before they have to come in and record with us. So they're sitting there listening to our gibberish takes, which is a lot of like shabba-da-ba-da-da-ba-da-ba nonsense, and they turn that into a lot of incredible gold, some not so shiny gold when we get there. But yeah, it's an incredible environment to take something so raw like that, and then like 24 hours later, it's immortalized in the recording because that's part of the competition. But yeah, Leland and I will get together, flush out the entire thing, get all the choruses together, and then just airball it, hope and pray that the queens come back, and they always do with their own unique takes. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that you guys do like gibberish takes. I do the same thing, and my poor collaborator's like, what are you saying? These are like gonna be worth blackmail material at some point down the line. I'd love
one day.
Exactly.
Yeah, one day we'll release a gibberish album of the Songs of Drag Race gibberish version.
That's really funny. That is a good idea.
I think that would be a great idea. Now, you guys, what I also find so fascinating, and it's such a machine in a great way, I mean this, is like you guys are not just writing for RuPaul's Drag Race in the US, you're also writing songs like for Drag Race all over the world, and for Divas, the spin-off sort of Drag Race. Like, talk to me a little bit how that works. Like when you guys wrote UK Hun, which again, if anybody hasn't heard that song, which I think everyone has at this point because it's such a huge, awesome song, but if you hadn't, go listen to it. It's so fantastic. But when you guys put that song together, it was any different? Were you there in person, or did you do it remotely? How did that work?
We haven't been to the UK at all working on the show. So we work remotely. We wrote that song and then another song for season 1 called Break Up Bye Bye the same way. We get incredible direction from the UK team, usually like colloquialisms that are used in the UK that we don't, like, maybe as Americans don't have our full ear to the ground about, but then we take that and turn it into a song. There's a lot of prompts. And then we get to work remotely with the team over there, and we send them our stuff. MNEK did an amazing job coaching the queens on stage on the camera version of that show, and then we get them back and kind of do our thing. It's a very similar process. The only thing that I would say would be different is the comedic sensibility of the UK is a little different, and then we never know what we expect, but we've, I think, learned now to cater that. Speaking of gibberish, when we did send UK Hun, the chorus, to the UK, I remember I was watching like an Instagram live with Ahura right after the song came out, and she was saying, when we got it, we thought it was a placeholder. We thought it was a joke, because surely this is not a chorus to a song that we're going to put on television. And the producers told her, oh no, this is right. It's Bing Bang Bong Sing Sang Song. So yeah, I mean, we've turned gibberish into an art, really, is what I'd like to classify that as.
Bringing it all back around. That's absolutely true. It's fantastic. So speaking of the UK Drag, so was there anything that you guys have done internationally that you had to go back and be like, okay, wait, we didn't, like, you know, we have to get a better sensibility of this comedy, or, you know, did that actually happen in UK's case? Did you have to do any rewrites? Or
I don't think so, because you know, we provided the chorus, we provided the music, we provided a little bit of guide, but thankfully the queens are so British and are so themselves that they infused it immediately with their comedic sensibility, their authenticity, that it really balanced it out. You know, and I would say, and I love this, I don't care at all, but I think MNEK really gets, people credit him more for writing the songs, even though he didn't for those. But I love that, because he is just one of my favorite collaborators and people, and we are so lucky to have him be a part of the show, especially after the monumental year he's had and continues to have. So I think it's really us, you know, providing something dumb and catchy, and then he is there to work with the queens. And it's nice. It was so nice to have him, because we just wanted to feel authentic. So we get direction from the people that will help us get it there.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the musicals you guys do, because that's a little bit different than some of these sort of singles that you guys write for RuPaul, because the musical is a really, really developed, substantially constructed piece, and a lot of times it's completely done by you guys. You're not really getting any input in that case from them. How do you guys, like, I just want to know, what is it like in the room when you're with RuPaul and you're coming up with these ideas for these musicals? Like, what is that process like?
It's a lot of throwing jokes at Ru and hoping that we make him laugh. And we know that when Ru laughs, we have a great idea. When Ru doesn't laugh, we hang our heads in shame and go home. But truly, he's such an icon, and it's just an encyclopedic, like, genius level knowledge of all across pop culture for the past I'm not going to date him, but you know, it's been a while. He knows everything. So it's like, it's like working with a supercomputer that also is hilarious and also has a high bar for comedy. And it's always very, very fun, warm and engaging, but it's also like you're pitching jokes and things to a master. That's how I feel in the room with him. It's always a delight to work with him.
Yeah, and the World of Wonder team will generally bring us ideas, you know, for the musicals or what they've landed on. I think this is the first time where, you know, because we are working on Drag Race was maybe like a month out of the year, and then it became 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and now it very much in the best way is a full-time job. It's like it's what people, I remember being told this and remembering this, is that, you know, sometimes the job you end up doing or getting you didn't even know existed or doesn't exist at the time. And so for this to be my full-time job, 10 years ago or 5 years ago, I guess I've been doing it now for 5, but like, you know, just would never have imagined. But now I think, you know, whenever we have breaks, it's like, oh, this could be a great musical. So they generally do not start with us. We're given very clear directions. The producers are wonderful. They help we're making a musical. That's why it's either us or Dave Steinberg who do the musicals, and he does an unbelievable job as well. But no, but they just come to us with such a clear structure, and they help us with the dialogue, because it is such a labor intensive in the best way process. And I think, you know, what I've learned, you know, Freddie and I are each doing our own things outside of Drag Race, but I've learned that instead of working at night when we're both tired after writing sessions during the day, like we have to do this early. We have to like go into this fully focused with all of our energy, and because that really is what the musicals call for. And you need to go into it feeling good so you can tap into it's like you find a seed of a ridiculous idea, and then you take it even further, and you take it even further, and then you add a key change, and then you add another key change. You know, so it's just it's the things that my friends and I in college, we would create characters and write fake songs for them, and then do little shows just for our friends in and around Nashville. It's exactly what we did then. Now just more people get to see it, which is awesome.
And what's super fun about some of them, like particularly like VH1 Divas Live, that was so fun because we got to really sonically and musically embody so many different artists. And when we get to do that for the show, there's a couple other pieces that we've done that way. It's just so fun, and it's such a fun challenge as musicians and songwriters to go and say, like, let's embody Stevie Nicks, but bring it into the world of Drag Race, add some comedy, make it sound like her, but also make it sound like the show. So it's like 4 different things that you're tossing into this salad that hopefully is good. I think it's okay. I think we're doing a good job so far, but it's very, very fun as a musician to come in, like Leland said, to find a job. It's like a select your own major almost, like to find a job that you didn't know was a job, and to create these pieces that then resonate. But yeah, the process is so fun, so chaotic in the best way. And the turnarounds really make you trust your instincts as a musician, as a writer, and really just hone your skills in terms of like, that's the idea we're going with. And it must be the most ridiculous thing possible. Let's add 2 times more ridiculousness and go with that. And it usually works out.
I mean, what a great opportunity, and also how incredibly stressful. Just hearing you talk about it makes me go like, oh my gosh, am I to do that? It's really kind of amazing because it's great to hear you talk about this on a sort of like artistry writing level, but the truth is you're also producing them as well. So it's, you know, you don't, I'm assuming there's no orchestrators behind you doing the orchestration. You guys are doing all of that yourself, right? Is that you produce the tracks as well, right? I mean, that's
yes, yeah. We end up so we'll write the bare bones of the song or the musical. We'll send that back and forth to each other. We'll work in the same room. And then the production is really the most minute like operation ever. We'll have in a single day, maybe 5 or 6 emails or a ton of text back and forth between like, hey, can we remove that one hi-hat here? And can we put a transition here? Let's drop out there, blah, blah, blah. It's a very intensive but quick process. And I think as a testament to our writing partnership and how talented my co-writer and coworker is here, we really have learned to kind of not know what each other's thinking non-verbally. So we can, at this point now, we work very well in the production sense. But yeah, we do switch hats from songwriting to comedy to everything else to then producing the entire thing.
And also because the production is so much of the comedy as well. And that's something that I learned watching Lucian do it and execute it so beautifully is the sound effects, the jokes, the comedy through the musical instruments themselves. And that is such a, I mean, I grew up watching musicals and watching, you know, the Muppet Show and all of those things where they were so perfectly executed and utilized. And so that is one of my favorite parts is, you know, we, like Freddie said, we write the basic gist of the song, the structure, but then it's inserting those jokes not through dialogue as well. And we also are very fortunate to work with an amazing producer and arranger, Gabe Lopez, who can come in when the song is built and help us, whether it's strings. And then Freddie has amazing horn players that he'll go to if we want to do a live horn arrangement, which we utilized for Drag Race Live, the Vegas show, and which ended up being, you know, the VH1 series. And then we use one of those, we use those songs, turn that into a musical for one of the seasons of Drag Race. So so it's constant. And I was going to mention, you know, one of my favorite aspects of this job is taking Ru's catalog and reworking it for different challenges or musicals, because it has allowed me to, when you live with someone's music for so long and you're so now familiar with their catalog, I recognize, I see the genius in it, and and these songs are so versatile. You know, we can do we did a Julie Andrews and the Sound of Music version of Call Me Mother, and that was a combination of all of my favorite things.
It was incredible.
And so getting to work with an extensive, constantly, you know, Ru's constantly cranking out original music, and it's so good that we have such a, when we're not writing original songs, we have such an amazing body of work to pull from.
We do, and to piggyback on that, when we get to present an artist of the caliber of Ru with his own catalog back at him in our interpretation of it, and he loves it, it's such a rewarding, like, nice thing to feel. And then on top of that, speaking of adding sound into the comedy and stuff, specifically for people watching this, if they want to do their homework on what we're talking about, UK Hun is jam-packed with that. So in the Lawrence Chaney verse, there's a jet landing, there's screams, there's a boxing ring sound in there, and it's all like really subtle, not to jump out at you, but you notice it adds character to each verse, and that's really where, like, the work meets the comedy. It's a fun thing to do.
Oh my God, 100%. I agree. All that stuff adds up to such an enjoyable, really, really fun watch and listen to. I mean, it definitely, those songs stand up on their own. When I'm out doing my workout, I'm going to pop in those tunes. They're so great. So, and also you guys were working this past season on a song called Lucky that is, in my mind, it's literally a top #1 hit. It's such a hooky song. And I feel like more than ever, this particular season, because it was COVID and we had everything sort of we were in lockdown, and you guys still managed to film an entire season. It was, the production values just were even through the roof on this particular one, and that particular song, I think, just went through the roof in its quality and its sound. And how was the challenge of working on that song with these 4 performers who were spectacular, but also in COVID? Like, what was that process like for you guys?
It was challenging recording, you know, getting on set, all the testing that needed to be done, but it was so worth it. And, you know, COVID, like you said, required some adaptation from production. And I think the end results not only produce something different, but something where the production value and the sets and the way they needed to shoot it, just it was beautiful. It was so, and we were so lucky to have an incredible top 4 of diverse and talented queens, and they were just, it felt like an all-star season. It really did.
Yeah.
And so much credit because they are professionals, they really are. And they did their work before, and they came prepared, and you can tell that these 4 queens went into this season knowing that they were going, like, feeling it and being like, I'm going to be in the top 4 and I'm going to kill it. And they all did. And so we were just truly so lucky to have those 4, and also the direction and the co-writing with Ru and Tom on this chorus and the lyrics and the music and what the song should be. There was just so much clear direction and clear collaboration from Ru and Tom during this process that it really made our job easy. And Ru not only had such a clear vision for it, but sounds fantastic, and always sounds fantastic. But this was a new lens for Ru when it came to genre, and it was just great. I was just so happy with it, and yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. The challenge, I'll speak to the challenge of it. This song was recorded in so many different places, every single part that came together. And I think because of COVID, which by the way, World of Wonder and the set handled incredibly the way they shot the season, how safe they were. We had no incidents. It was amazing. But yeah, combined with the talent of the queens and the way that everyone just kind of pulled their weight, even though we weren't in the same room, it really, I will say this confidently, it didn't feel like we were not together. It felt very connected. It felt like something we were all very invested in. Clearly that shows in the way they shot it. I mean, it was an incredible visual. But yeah, it was a lot of like texts and emails. And I remember the same horn players that we've used on Breakup Bye Bye and stuff, they recorded remotely. They live in Palm Springs. I texted them like, hey, we need extra horns on this. And they'll email me that. We have vocals from over here. We recorded at the soundstage. We recorded at our home studios. We recorded Ru over here. And then just all of that coming together to make what it was really, another challenge would be such a fun challenge, and C, I think the epitome of like the show must go on. It was really, really great.
I mean, you guys, it's really a testament. It's an incredible piece, and I wish you guys all the luck. I cannot wait to see more of what you guys do. I'm an enormous fan. Again, thank you both so much for coming to chat today, and yes, you'll see me soon, and all of my fans.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
And I hope that we're all very lucky soon.
I hope so.
No, thank you, Curtis. You are incredible and so talented. So it truly is an honor it's so wonderful to be able to chat with a fellow songwriter and composer when it comes to the details about this. So I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.